What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Wedding Planning Podcast. I am your co-host, Amanda, and I'm here with the lovely other co-host,
Monica. We're so happy to be back.
It feels like it's been so long since we've podcasted.
It has been. It's been like since so much has happened since we've talked to you guys last.
I feel like a whole lifetime has happened between now. We had such a crazy wedding season. We essentially have what?
6 more?
Yeah, 6 more, maybe a few more coordinations that we'll take on for the end of the year. But we're coming to a close. So this episode is our year in review. We're going to do a little life update for you guys to keep you up to speed on, everything Amanda and Monica.
And then we're important.
Everyone wants to know. And then we are going to talk about some things that we learned, some super cool trends and things that we saw this year, as well as some crazy stories that have happened at the weddings this year. So stay tuned to the end because we talk about all sorts of things and
you don't want to miss it.
Good.
And it's super exciting because now we'll be posting the podcast on YouTube too. So this is actually our first time recording ourselves on video too. So if you'd rather watch us on YouTube, head on over there.
Yeah, you will be able to watch the video on Spotify too. We're still trying to figure that out. But yeah, I've only recorded one other video podcast, so this is our second one, and I get to do it with Monica.
Yay.
Okay, so let's jump into it. Do you want me to go first,
life
Monica,
update.
Or you want to go first?
You go first with your life update. What's happened this summer? What's going on? Are you married? The people are dying to know.
I know everyone always asks me every time I see like a vendor or someone at a wedding. They're like, when are you getting married? I'm like, I don't know. Life update. It's been such an amazing year. Super cool. We got to do so many unique weddings. I swear we have like the best clients. Mm-hmm. Like I feel so blessed to work with some of these people. Like some of these people will be our lifelong friends that we'll still keep in touch with.
I miss some of them. Like I think about them and I'm like, what's happening with their children? What's happening with their family? Like what's happening? Because you talk to them every day and then it's like cold turkey.
Yeah, it's kind of sad because you work with them, especially our full planning clients, like we work with for a year plus. And then, at the end of their wedding night, you're like, see you never. It's so sad. But yeah, we definitely keep up with people on Instagram too, which is nice.
And we're super lucky. We've seen some of our past clients at other clients' weddings. So it's been super exciting to reconnect with everyone at other people's weddings as well.
Yeah, it's so nice to see. We have this one friend group that we've done 3 weddings out of their friend group. It started last year and then we did 2 more this year. And there's one groomsman left to get married. And at the wedding, they were like calling him out. They're like, hey, you have to book Day of Diva. You have to keep the trend going.
Nobody's coming.
So yeah, we have amazing clients, amazing couples. Sorry, I keep adjusting my headphones, but they keep falling out. I have weird shaped ears. Anyway, couples and clients this year, I just felt so blessed to work with everyone. The year was crazy. We did so many weddings, which we'll talk about later, but from a personal standpoint, we got to do a lot of traveling this year, which is amazing. I was away we went to Bali and we went to Europe in November of last year. And I also went to Ireland and Barcelona. So it's been super cool just to be able to work from wherever while leaning on Monica and doing, she was able to do our discovery calls while I was away, which was so nice. And yeah, I feel like I definitely enjoy the time off. I definitely get inspired to, work. Yeah, I wasn't going to say harder, but, you just get that refresh from being in a different country and appreciating, everything that you have when you come back. So that was super cool. And yeah, then we went right into the wedding season. Like as soon as I got back, it was like in full swing. We hired our staff this year. So we had 5 girls on our team and they came with us for, mostly every wedding, unless it was, not needed and super small. So we were super blessed with the girls that we got. They were all fantastic.
Shout out
so
to our
fun.
girls.
They made our lives, jobs, and just the experience so much more fun. So that's that. Wrapping up now, Julio and I are off to Egypt and Turkey. My fiance got his citizenship not that long ago, so he is in full travel bug mode. And yeah, I'm excited to definitely take some time off after this crazy year. We are not married yet. I have no idea what we're gonna do. Honestly, we will probably do something very, very small.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I start to plan, and then, you know, people's opinions get involved, and you think about, oh, do I need to have my grandparents there? Do I need to have this person there? Blah, blah, blah. And it just gets overwhelming. Honestly, I definitely know what it's like being on the other side now. And I don't know if I've said this on a podcast before, but I used to tell my clients, like, do whatever you want. You know, do what's best for you and your fiance. And I'm like, it's actually really hard to do what you want because, you know, weddings are the joining of two families, so on and so forth. So
it's much easier said than done.
Much easier said than done. I'm taking that out of my repertoire of saying that to my clients.
Even though you still mean it because it's your day, but it's like, there's so many more factors to it now that we're on the other side.
Exactly. So yeah, I don't know. Honestly, we're not pressed for time, really. You know, we could go down to the courthouse and that'd be fine, and we might have like a party or something. I know it seems strange coming from a wedding planner standpoint, but I think a lot of vendors are in the same boat that I am, that, you know, we live and breathe this on the weekends, and sometimes, you know, you just want something small and private and intimate, and yeah, just something that's totally you guys. And so that's where we're at with the wedding. Besides that, that's kind of it for me. That's kind of my
What's
update.
happening here? Well, I had a super exciting summer. I got engaged
Yay!
this summer. Yay!
In Italy.
Yeah, in Italy. It was so fun. We took a family trip to Italy, and Brendan totally surprised me. I always was like, you're never gonna get me. He got me. I had no idea it was happening. So that was super
We thought
exciting.
Maybe. But
I was like, I think it's gonna happen, but I was like, also like, he's not gonna do it in front of 25 of my family members. Like, he's just like, that's totally not him. And then he totally got me. And by the time I got there, though, I stopped thinking about it because we were of the excitement of Italy. So then when it happened, I was like, what is happening? Like, oh my God. I think one of the first things I said to him was like, did you ask my dad? Like, when did you ask my dad? And he was like, I asked him, don't worry. So no, that
Monica I want to tell them about the running joke that we had.
Yeah. So before I left for Italy, we were stipulating, is Monica going to get engaged or not? So I was like, Amanda, if I get engaged, I'm calling you, showing you the ring, and hanging up on you. That's
she was gonna like a 3-second me and like,
boom. Here's the ring, hang up. So it happens, and we're at dinner, and like, yes, we'd had a few drinks, whatever. And I'm like telling my whole family about this, and they're like, you have to do it. You have to do it. So I call Amanda, and of course it's like middle of the day here for her.
Yeah.
And reception's not great for me. Reception's not great for you, but because of where you were. But I call you, I show you the ring, and I literally hung up on her.
I was like leaving a venue viewing out in Cochrane. It was like such bad reception, and I was like, I get the FaceTime sound, and I was like, who the hell is FaceTime me? I'm like driving down this like dirt road, and then it's like Monica, and I literally was like, oh my God, no! So I was like, the only reason she's FaceTiming me is because she got engaged and she's about to hang up on me.
Or I'm in jail or something.
Or that. So yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
Were you like, wait, tell them, like, talk about the ring.
So what happened
is
I don't even know if I've told you this story. Brendan might murder me for telling this on the podcast, but here we are. It's like that tell all here. So we got engaged. We were at a winery. We did the whole tour. And if anyone knows Brendan, he is like a guy that will not leave his shit behind. Whereas I'm like, oh, there's my purse. I'll come back for it. No one's going to steal my stuff. I'm too trusting, probably. So we're in this tasting room, and he's like, hey, Mon, let's go get a photo outside. And I was like, no, I'm fine inside. And he's like, come on, let's go get a photo outside. And I was like, no, it's fine. We'll get one like as we leave kind of thing. Finally, he was like, we're going outside. And so he calls my little sister. He's like, Sophia, can you come and take a photo of us outside? And he brings his backpack. I don't think anything of it because this guy brings his things everywhere. So he brings his backpack, and I kind of started to clue in as we were walking down like this garden, but Sophia wasn't following that close behind. She was like further behind. So we get to the end of the garden and I was like, why do you have your backpack? And he's like, do you need some water? I'm like, we were just inside. Why would I need some water? And then all of a sudden, like, he pulls out the ring and he proposes to me. And I was like, oh my God, I'm dying. But what's really funny about this entire story is he traveled 2 days before me to Rome. And he had the ring in his like carry-on, like wheelie bag. And he had a lot of things in his hands with security. He doesn't travel a lot. He didn't realize about the whole water situation, how you can bring your water with you across security. Anyway, so he left his suitcase beside the trash as he was dealing with his water, his things, whatever. And he forgot his suitcase. He went through security and forgot his suitcase. And somebody was like, does anyone lose their brown suitcase? And the ring is in the brown suitcase.
Oh my God, I
Obviously, it
didn't
all
know
worked out
that.
fine. Yeah, I don't think I told you that. But yeah, so there's like
So
for
he
the
just
guy,
left his whole suitcase?
Yeah.
Like, what was he carrying in his hand? The backpack?
the water, the backpack, the phone, the this, I don't know.
And he was like, I got everything. I'm good.
Yeah.
Except for my engagement ring. Oh my God.
So yeah, so no, super exciting. I'm sure everyone wants to know there's no wedding plans. It's gone from giant wedding to elopement to like, it's just like, I feel like it needs to be, we are not on the same page, but I'm stressing Brendan out. He thinks we're so far behind in the planning, and can't be behind if you haven't started.
True. I think that's the hard thing, is getting on the same page as your partner in terms of what you really want for the wedding, because I feel like there's always someone who's like kind of indifferent, or someone that's like, I want this kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So it's to be determined. Something will happen at some point, and you'll all find out after it happens.
Boom. What else is going on?
We're getting a puppy. That's
Yes.
another personal thing that's going on. So we're getting a puppy. We're getting a little Labradoodle who will be 2 weeks old tomorrow, and will be coming home in the beginning of November. So that's super exciting. I think from a wedding perspective, for me personally, this year was super exciting because I got to do a lot of my own weddings, whether that be I take the lead and Amanda was the assistant, or whether we're at two completely different weddings and not together. I did a wedding, my very first wedding alone, when she was actually in Ireland, not planned, but that was the way it worked out with having to reschedule. So I was freaking out, but it ended up going very well, as well as I executed the very first wedding I ever booked this year. So that was super exciting too.
Yeah, because you booked them. Monica was doing all the discovery calls when I was in Europe in November, and you booked them, and then it finally came to the big day. So that was cool. You got to see it like start to finish.
Yeah. So it was a really exciting season. Lots happened.
It was really good. Yeah, it was awesome. I know, I feel like so much happening. Okay, should we jump into, are we doing what we learned first, or the cool trends we saw?
Let's go with what we learned first.
Okay. Okay, I feel like we wrote a lot of things down, but I think my kind of like overall review of the year is, at the beginning of the year, Monica and I were like, okay, we're at like 30 weddings. We're gonna, close our books and just focus on the weddings that we have. And I don't know, this was obviously a big year for a lot of vendors because there was lots of carryover from COVID. So I felt like it was like an influx of weddings this year. So we actually ended up reopening up our books and, taking what we could wear. And we ended up we will end up executing 43 weddings between the two of us, like someone's the lead. And that actually sounded like, if I would have said that at the beginning of the year, I would have been like, no way, that sounds horrible. Like, we're going to die. But I think the way that we managed it, like Monica in the end, I think you did 14 weddings is what I had.
Maybe 16 by the end of the year, but
by the end. And then, so just I think where I'm going with this is, I think you can do more than you think, for sure. I feel like that's the case in a lot of things, not just business wise, but personally as well. And, when we put that cap on it, I'm so glad that we changed that, because we actually got some amazing, not last minute, but, more last minute bookings that were like amazing clients. So it was definitely doable. I think we learned how to, divide and conquer, manage our time, lean on each other when we needed it. And also I think we learned to take breaks when we needed it.
Mm-hmm.
I think I started to learn that I started to feel less guilty when I would take a Monday off, or I would, take a Wednesday afternoon off or something like that, because I need that. We work Monday to Sunday essentially in the busy wedding season, because Sunday's a teardown day, or we're returning stuff on the Monday and we're doing this. So I think we really learned how to navigate the busyness without dying. It was definitely overwhelming for sure at times, because our inbox is at 50 emails over the weekend, and it's just like wild. And I think Monica and I are the same, as like when we see stuff that's on our plate, we're like, oh my
yes,
God.
100%.
So I definitely learned that it's totally manageable. And you just have to, be conscious of your time and be prepared to take time off, even when you feel guilty about it.
You just have to be like willing to adjust slightly, and like understand that the emails are still going to be there tomorrow, but you need a moment to yourself. And I think like we were both saying, because we basically have been going straight since we had August long weekend off, and we've been going straight ever since then. And that's not just every weekend. Sometimes it's 2 in a weekend. Sometimes it's 2 in a week, whatever it might be. But I think by the end of August, because we thought that was going to be the worst month with 10 weddings alone in August. We were so burnt out by that point last year. But this year we looked at each other and we're like, oh my God, we could keep going. Like, this is great. Like, so glad we booked more, kind of thing. Even though, like, I will admit now I'm like, okay, I'm ready for a bit of a break. But like, we still got October, we want to power through, and we want to give everyone the same experience. And I think that having the staff was smart. We strategically sometimes both didn't go to teardown when it wasn't necessary, or one of us would start the next wedding later, or there was a point in August and September where like, let's just take a day off each. Like, we both don't need to be there. Like, I think we just kind of realized it's okay to let go a little, and it's okay to adjust slightly, and people are going to understand.
Totally. And I think I've kind of let go of the fact that like, I don't need to be there. Yes, it's my company. I wouldn't say that I'm really the face of the company anymore, because you're so integrated in all of our stuff that, it's okay if I'm not on site or there, or, things like that, because that's how lots of wedding planners, build their business. You book them and you get an associate planner or something like that. And I will say, I think like physically, like our physical health and like taking care of ourselves was also more a priority this year. Like last year, we wouldn't eat, we wouldn't stop, we wouldn't drink water, we would never take a break. We would like, just run ourselves ragged essentially, and not carve out time for like sleep and exercise, and bringing healthy meals with us and things like that. So that, I think, is the foundation of it, as well as the staffing, and then dividing and conquering.
And I think we also realized, like, last year we would stay every minute of the wedding. We were like, we can't leave, we can't do anything. But this year we were really good at like, okay, the party started, you don't need us. We're going to actually go take a legit break that's not just sitting down for 5 minutes and eating. And we'll come back for teardown. We'll come back for your late night snack. We'll come back for the things later. You're going to be fine without us. We don't need to stand here and like watch you guys. So it was a lot of learning and a lot of like changing things to just like better the whole experience for ourselves as well as for the clients.
Totally. What's yours, Mom?
Okay, the next lesson that we learned, and happened to us a few times, is that circle arches are stunning. They're beautiful when you get the flowers on them, but they're not as sturdy as you think. Especially outside, like if you want that like thin circle arch effect with the flowers all around, or the two different arrangements, or whatever it might be, you have to just take into consideration that they're very, very top heavy, and there's nothing that holds them up. So you kind of want to have like a second arch behind it, or we've even tried wires that worked okay, not great, or it's better for an inside moment, and maybe a hexagon arch is better for outside.
Yeah, we even like, so for instance, like even when our clients say, like a day of client is like, here's my circle arch, here's my faux flowers, and it's going on there. Like we even outside had a circle arch with faux flowers, like half the weight of, one of those like boxes of foam that they put the flowers in. And it's still not falling over, but it's still leaning because there's weight on it. Like if you want to do any sort of arch with any flowers, I just think you should go with something wooden. The circle gold is beautiful. Maybe more necessary for something inside, but outside there's just so many elements, so many factors. And if you are renting an arch and you are getting real flowers on it, do not get a thin circle like gold arch, because it just won't work.
They're stunning, but it's just if you want just the arch outside, that's totally fine. But it's when you start to add the weight. Yeah,
it's a logistical nightmare.
Yeah.
For anyone
I
that's
just
doing their own
realized
design.
that we didn't have one wedding that was supposed to be inside this year.
Oh my God, you're right.
Every single wedding went outside.
Yeah.
And I would say like 95% of our weddings were outdoor weddings this summer.
We did a lot of outdoor. You're right. Oh my God, that's I love that. We've had really good weather.
Yeah.
Honestly, that weekend that we got, there was a big rainfall in August. We I think we were inside. I think that's when you were at the brownstone.
Yeah.
It was raining that day. I can't remember. Sometime around there. We got a rainfall and our weddings were set to be inside anyway.
Yeah, it was perfect. Okay, the next thing we learned, speaking of outdoor weddings, is how windy the Tunnel Mountain patch is.
Oh yeah. So for people that know the Banff Canmore area, there's a beautiful tunnel. It's called Tunnel Mountain. There's like a reservoir that you can book outside, and it is stunning. If you Google like Banff wedding, it's going to come up. But even if you think it's going to be a calm day, it's always calm there in the morning, and then it becomes a wind tunnel. Like I don't care, it's the bluest sky, it looks amazing. It may not even be windy in the town of Banff, but in this reservoir it is a wind tunnel.
Not to say you shouldn't get married there, we love it there. Just take that into consideration when you're doing your decor as to what you put out there, and if you mind having your hair tousled a bit or whatever it might be, because it's a stunning spot.
Yes. And people, like some of our clients, they wanted stuff going down the aisles or signs at the back. Of course, we try to do our best to avoid things from falling over, but we can only do so much. And we do advise people, like when they're designing or picking their decor out there, to keep it very minimal, to maybe opt for benches or no welcome sign. You don't need as much as you think at a ceremony site. Like people are just there to get married. Most people don't bring their cards if the reception is elsewhere, so don't worry about a card box. But it's so windy. Like we even had chairs blow over. That, like, remember that small like little elopement? Chairs blowing over. Everything's blowing over. Put something on your marriage license if you have a signing table, because it's going to blow away.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just windy there.
What else did we learn? Oh, the staffing. Yeah, I think that was a huge piece. So we essentially, Monica and I were either the lead on one of the weddings, which means, we're with our clients start to finish, whether that's coordination, partial planning, or full planning, and we're with them throughout the whole process. And then on the day, we have our assistant divas, which would mean, we get there, we show them what's here for setup, this is what it's going to do, then we're going to need you at ceremony to help us with this, and then maybe they break and they come back for tear down or things like that. So we had 5 amazing gals, all like very unique personalities, and we all kind of like jive together. I really wanted to not treat everyone like a staff, but like they were included in the day of like, oh, what do you think about this setup, or should we do it this way or that way? And I think that's our approach, because I never want someone just to feel like they're just like a body on our day. We really, all these girls love the industry, and we want to see what they think. Should we move it
was very much collaborative. Like it was like, because some of our clients will be like, here's my stuff, I don't really care where it goes. Here's the slight vision, but like, so we're like, here's the greenery, go wild, put it on the tables, cut it if you want, position it if you want, like whatever you think looks good. I trust whatever you think looks good.
Yeah. So having those gals, it was so fun. We got to do like some, ones out in Canmore and Banff, and we all get to stay over together or do whatever. But definitely we learned that, having an extra set of hands just for a few hours goes a hell of a long way.
And I think it also taught us a lot on how we want to do it next year as well, and sort of like what we did this year and how we can improve it for next year, and having extra hands for teardown. As much as we think, oh, we have time, it's not that bad, it's really helpful.
Totally. I think the other thing that I wrote down that I learned for sure is, I think just now that we're in our 3rd year of business, kind of coming out of COVID, I think I'm starting to realize for sure the value of our packages. It's hard to, when an inquiry comes in and they say, this is our budget and this is what we have to work with, and maybe it doesn't really fall within any of our packages. I think this year I just learned how valuable it is. Like so many of our clients were like, this is the best money we've ever spent. I'm so glad we did. We couldn't have had a wedding without it. We couldn't have, been able to enjoy ourselves without you. Like the hugs at the end of the night, and like the amazing comments and reviews and referrals and things like that. Like, I think we both just learned that it is super valuable, our work and what we do. And that, even if we don't fit within someone's budget, that's okay.
Yeah. And I think one of the biggest things with that is like, when an outsider, like maybe the groom's not that involved, or the bridal party, or the parents are like, oh my God, I've never seen so-and-so so relaxed in my entire life, or like, I had no idea you were about to do all that and that this has all come together. You're like, okay, all of this was worth it. And like, we are valuable to the day, even though we might not be producing photos at the end or your dance experience. There's so much we do behind the scenes to make all of that happen. And then when an outsider realizes it, you're like, okay, this is great.
Yeah. And I think the biggest one is always day of, because people are like, what is it that you actually do? Like, day of package, they're not cheap. Depending on what you charge, it can range from $2,000 to $4,000 for a day of coordinator. And people think, oh, it's just on the day. They just do it on the day. And it's like, there's so much lead up. There's so much behind the scenes communication with your vendors, building that timeline. Like, we don't just slap together a timeline and we're like, yeah, this should work. Like, we're talking to all your vendors. Does this work for DJ, catering, photo, video, photo booth load in? Does this make sense for timing? Does this incorporate everything that they want in there? And of course, we're there on the day executing. But I think day of is, they get a little like sticker shocked of like, oh, well, you're only there on the day. It's only, this. But Yeah, we've some of our like most amazing, grateful clients are some of our day of clients.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my one about knowing what we're worth.
Knowing our worth. I think that's
That,
majority of what we learned.
yeah.
I'd say one that's kind of like what we learned / trend as we go into the trends is that people are being more conscious of the favors that they produce and making it so that they are something that people will either like eat right away when they sit down at the table or something that they're actually going to get home. I think we had less waste on favors for sure this year, which was so great to see.
Yeah, that was a big trend. People had, purposeful favors, whether that's a little box of chocolates or, a cute coaster that they can take home. I think people were more intentional about what they were getting and not just like, oh, we need a favor. Let's just, I don't know, get this wine opener. And you're like, okay.
Some of our favorite pens were the favor.
I do love those pens. But yeah, I think personally, I think favors are a waste.
Same.
I just don't think they're necessary. You don't feel like you have to get somebody a gift. I don't know if I'm gonna get flack for that, but I think they're a waste. Yeah, that was a big trend, which was good because a lot of the time in the last couple of years we're picking up cookies, we're picking up random things. Well, yeah, it was just like it was way better this year.
Yeah, or we didn't see favors, which is great.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I would say maybe only like 40% of our couples did a favor.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're going into the trends / cool things that we saw in this year's weddings. I'm going to start off with a handful of our couples, mostly the ones from like the States or out of country or out of, not out of Canmore or Banff. A lot of people started doing adventure shoots either before or after their wedding. So yeah, I think it's really cool because one, you get different scenery, and a lot of our couples wore their same outfits or they wore a different outfit.
Yeah, and we had one couple have their rehearsal shot instead of doing an engagement shoot. They had their rehearsal / welcome party shot, which is super cool as well.
Yeah, and I was like looking through the adventure ones and I'm like, these are so cool. And some people, they even got a different photographer. I mean, if you love your photographer and you want to use them too, of course, but some people are like, yeah, I found this one out of Banff and they're like super cool. So they're going to shoot us for 2 hours. We're going to go do this. One of our couples, they did an adventure shoot the following day. They went to like Emerald Lake and all the kind of iconic Banff spots because they're from the States. But they also went on a helicopter during their wedding day. So they had their ceremony and then they went and did their helicopter, more amazing, super cool, different scenery photos. And then they came back to their reception, which I thought was really cool. So I feel like our out of town clients are really trying to make the most of them being here and booking the helicopter and getting an extra outfit. And one of our girls even did, they flew in from the States, and on their day that they were doing the adventure shoot, she did her trial because her hair and makeup artist was from Banff and they were already in there. So you get to do your trial, if you need to make any tweaks or things like that. And then you get to go off and shoot some pre-wedding photos.
Yeah.
So I loved that.
Yeah. Or have the moment together after the wedding, have the day together after the wedding. Totally. Another trend we saw, which was super cute, was we saw a lot of last dances. So at the end of the night, after the party was over, all the guests would be gone and the couple would dance to either their first dance song again or a different song that was meaningful to them, just the two of them. The DJ would kind of clear out of the way. All of us would just sort of be like tinkering around in the background, not really paying attention to them. And it was just like a really special moment for them to have.
Yeah, I think it was like a nice close for them for the evening. Obviously this day is all, surrounded, encompassing them. So it's kind of nice for them to have that one last little moment on the day, just the two of them, because I will say on a wedding day, you don't get a ton of moments to yourself. No. So yeah, I loved watching people incorporate that. I think that was like a really nice touch to, such a long day for people.
And some of them were planned and some of them just like happened, like
Yeah. You don't need
in
to
the
plan
moment.
it, but if you're like, hey, everyone, get out, we're gonna do the last dance song, throw this song on DJ, let's roll.
Yeah, exactly.
Cute. I talked about the helicopter. We talked about the favors. I think a big trend this year, even more than last year, was photo booths. I want to say like not every one of our clients. I want to say 80% of our clients had a photo booth.
And we love a good photo booth. I'm sure you guys saw on the Instagram, every time there's a photo booth, we're in that photo booth taking a photo. And some of them had really unique backdrops, different furniture, or they would use like the backdrop of the venue and incorporate like the character of wherever they were getting married. Some had props, some had printers, some had digital. Like there were so many different types of photo booths, but all of them are so fun. And if you're going to do a photo booth, I would say probably there's a couple places you could do it. You could do it during the cocktail hour, or you can do it sort of later in the night after the dinner and everyone's up and taking photos, and it's just a fun experience. And some people would use that as their guest book and get the guests to take the photos from the photo booth and put them into a guest book, or some companies will make guest books from the photos for you as well.
Yeah, I think it's so fun because so many of our couples go back and look at all their photos. One couple made like a full photo album of all their photos that were in the photo booth. And it's like something so fun, like, because everyone, is super like quirky and stuff in a photo booth. So it's so fun to like look back at, not just like, because obviously your photographer will get you photos of the guests and, some candids and stuff like that. But it'll be cool to look back on all these photos from your wedding in the photo booth. And yeah, like Monica said, I think you either do it in the cocktail hour or you do it after dinner. Lots of people will book a photo booth sometimes and not really consider that, they're having dinner for most of that time.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely take that into consideration, that you want to make the most of it. And I feel like people are more likely to go in the photo booth later in the evening after everyone's had a couple drinks.
And it takes the pressure off of like the formal photos with your family and stuff too, because you don't have to worry so much about, did I get that aunt? Did I get that cousin? Was that person? Because it's like, you can get a photo with them at the photo booth. It's still professional quality photos.
Yeah.
It's just not from your photographer. So it's just going to be a different style photo.
Yeah, totally. Oh yeah. Talk about the cool thing that you saw.
Which one?
The lion dancers.
Oh yeah, one of the unique experiences and cool things we saw was lion dancers. So it was super cool. It was a very traditional wedding. I actually also got to experience a couple tea ceremonies this year, which was super cool as well. It's just great to see other cultures and see how they celebrate their wedding. But the lion dancers, it was a surprise for all the guests and the parents. That nobody knew it was happening. And they came in and there was 3 lions and they had drums and cymbals, and they probably put on like a 10 to 15 minute performance just all around the tables in front of the couple, everything like that. And it was so funny after the bride's like, Mom, did you ever think I was going to do that? It was so cool. It was definitely like an experience I'll never forget.
Yeah, I feel like, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
My things are going wild on me. I think this year we did a lot of different cultures, lots of different things that people wanted to incorporate, which was super cool. Lots of people, I feel like this year really wanted to pay tribute to each side of their family and their heritage. A lot of couples, that was huge importance to them. Not saying that it wasn't before, but some people are like, we'll just do the traditional ceremony reception and that's cool. But we saw a lot of different things that were being incorporated, which was fun, and included lion dancing. And when actually next weekend we have a whole performance going on as well, which you guys will see probably on our Instagram. So that'll be cool.
Maybe before this comes out, who knows?
Maybe. Oh yeah, right.
Another thing we experienced for the first time, which was unique, was a hired MC. Flash magician.
Yes, this is the first time we have ever experienced a hired MC, and people have asked us about that before. People have asked us to be their And I'm like, I'm not that great of an MC. And yeah, this guy was hired. He's actually out of Toronto. But yeah, you can hire MCs, and it was wild. It was crazy. It was not what I expected it to be. It was better, I think, than what I was expecting. Like, this guy has this whole intro, so he got something like the DJ to play. It's like pre-recorded.
Well, before this, he was doing magic in the cocktail hour.
Right. Yeah, so like before the reception, he's going around doing magic, you know, joking with the guests, getting comfortable with everyone. And then when the grand entrance comes around, he has this whole like script, like this piece of recording that like hypes everyone up, and he gets the wedding party to like scream, and they're all outside and they're getting pumped up, and everyone, and then he eventually like introduces everyone, and everyone has their own dance and all this stuff. And it really set the tone for the rest of the evening, because the rest of his like act per se was like very involved. And I think that's definitely rang true to our couple and their families, because their families were going wild. They loved everything.
Yeah.
Like, he was getting people to wave their napkins around,
bring their
and
chairs to the dance floor.
Chairs on the dance floor. Like, you had to run up and like dance to the couple, and he had like 4 guys like do this other dance, and there was like games throughout the night and all this different stuff. It was like super cool, super engaging, and it really felt like an event. You know, like we see mostly MCs being family members or things like that, who maybe, you know, aren't good in front of crowds, or, you know, don't really want to be there, and they just said yes because the couple asked them, or, you know, they've never done it before, so they don't know how to like make it their own and, you know, bring some charisma to the evening. But this guy was amazing.
It was a really cool experience. It was so cool.
I think we were shocked. We were like sitting there being like, wow.
Honestly, we've never seen so many people up on a dance floor waving napkins before dinner. Like, people were losing their napkins.
People were screaming, and it was like we were at like a rave.
Yeah, we just weren't. I just think we weren't expecting that, because we've never seen it before. And not to say that that's what every hired MC is like. Maybe some are a bit more toned down, but it was a really unique experience for sure.
It was really cool. Yeah, this couple was from the States. They had found him on YouTube, I think.
Yep.
And they hired him, and they were like a partial planning, so we did their design, but they found him, and it was really good. Yeah. Okay. Oh, the other thing that we really liked, and I think it's becoming more of a trend now, maybe, I'm not sure, but is room reveals.
Yeah.
So for the first, you know, year and a half, we were mostly doing coordinations, and obviously now we're doing partial and full plannings, where we're doing the designs and we're doing things like that. And it was super cool for us, because we got to see, like, for the most part, you know, as wedding planners, designers, we know what things are going to look like. You know, we can visualize it because we see a lot of weddings. We know what the shibari chair with the gold linen and the centerpiece are going to look like. But it's hard for our couples, and lots of people are very visual, and, you know, our proposals can only do so much. Like, we show you the items and what it's going to look like in the room and a floor plan and things like that, but you really don't know what it's going to look like all together until on the day. So being a part of the room reveals were super cool. Like, Monica and I got to bring the couples in and, you know, watch them see the room for the first time. And especially some people, like our clients, some of them are from the States, and they've never even seen the space itself, you know, in person. So that was so cool. And I feel like, you know, even some of our coordination clients did it too, that, you know, picked all their design, picked their rentals, picked their florists, and they got to do it too, which was cool.
And they got to see all their hard work come to life too. And it was super cool just watching them see it for the first time, and like everyone would light up and be like, oh my God, you guys put this together, you did this, you helped me bring my vision to life, whatever the case might be. And it also gives them like a moment, the two of them, because the room is empty, for them to walk around and sort of enjoy the space before people come in and maybe they can't see the finer details, or they get pulled here or there, or whatever might happen, it gives them a chance to actually enjoy. And it was really nice for some of our girls who were there and watched some of the room reveals and was like, oh my God, we did this. Like, I helped put this together.
Yeah, it was super cool to see like some of our assistants there on the day. And I'm like, you guys can, like, your shift is done, but if you want to stay, you can stay. And they're like, we want to stay. And I'm like, yeah. Like, sometimes the photographers would take pictures of us all together on the dance floor with the couple. I actually really liked one of our couples that did this because they didn't do a grand entrance, but they got to do their room reveal. And then they essentially like welcomed everyone into the room. It was super cool because normally, you know, you do a grand entrance, everyone's like, woo, but they were like, yeah, come on in, you know, like,
take a photo with us.
Yeah.
Like, grab your seat, hugs, whatever it might be.
Because for the most part, you know, they're off doing photos and then maybe they join cocktail hour for a bit, but it was cool to be like, yeah, welcome to our wedding. Come on in. Like, here's our amazing design that we put together with our wedding planner kind of thing. So I thought that was cool.
That was really cool.
Okay.
I think that's most of the unique things and trends. And I'm sure you're all dying to know the biggest dramatic moments of the season. And there's 2 of them and they're burning hot.
I think that's what we're going to name this episode. You guys, like, this year, it was so good. But I think what Monica coined this year is, what did you say? Like, it was we were on fire this year?
Yeah.
Literally, guys.
Literally. So you all saw that, I'm sure if you follow us on Instagram, the burning hands. We'll get to that. That's not the only fire. You're probably like, that's it. Great. One fire. Nope. That's not it. So I'll tell the story from my perspective of what happened. We were flipping from ceremony to a reception. So we had to bring in all the chairs. We had these large stands with like huge pompous grass arrangements. So like all dried florals or silk and synthetic flowers. So it was all fake or dry. And we were bringing them inside, and it was just like there was about 5 of us just bringing things inside, putting it on the dance floor. The next person would bring it to the table. Like, it was kind of like a factory operation here. We didn't have a lot of time.
Assembly line.
Exactly. At the same time that this is going on, the client had cold sparklers. And if you don't know what cold sparklers are, they come in like this little box, and then the sparklers that shoot out of the box. And you're supposed to be able to like put your hand in them or a piece of paper, and they don't
a lot
burn
of our
anything.
clients use them.
Yeah. So like you use them for like those big moments of first dances, grand entrances, things like that, or during the party. So the gal that was setting up the cold sparklers wanted to test them. Of course, like you want to test your things. So we didn't really. I'm standing outside and I hear her say, okay, everyone move out of the way. So all the gals move out of the way from the sparklers so she can have a good visual. Not that anyone was going to get hurt from these. They're safe. And she tests the sparkler, and all of a sudden the pampas grass arrangement lights on fire. Somebody takes the pampas grass arrangement and just like throws it on the dance floor, like instinct. Let's get it off the carpet. Let's throw it onto the dance floor. And then somebody else takes the pampas grass arrangement and throws it outside and shuts the door. And I'm literally outside. Watch this all happen in slow-mo. And I'm outside with this burning pampas grass arrangement alone with no water. And then this lady watched it all happen from this meeting in a different room at the space we're at. And she runs outside with her 2 jugs of water to like help put out the fire. Anyways, Amanda could tell you what happened from her perspective.
Oh my God. So this was our second fire story of the year. So I'm already traumatized for the fire. Like, anytime after our first fire story, which we will tell you, anytime I smell fire or like a little bit of like a burning candle, I'm like, oh my God, Kate, what's happening? Anyway, so I'm at the back of this room, far from the dance floor, and I turn around and I just see this like flying arrangement going outside. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, are you shitting me? Like, we were just here 2 weeks ago with another fire.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God. So I run over and I was like, shut the doors. I didn't know Monica was out there. I was like, shut the doors, because if the sprinklers go off in here, their whole reception is going to be soaked. Like, it's going to be ruined. So I was like, shut the doors. We don't want the smoke, anything out there. It's like smoldering outside, basically. I didn't know Monica was out there, but I'm going to the back. I'm like, we need water. There's a fire. There's a fire. Like, it was huge. It was a big fire. And anyway, we get out there, we get water on it, all this stuff. So it was all fine. We were down an arrangement. And yeah, you know what? They are very safe, cold sparklers. And even the technician was like, I've done weddings with these, you know, the dried florals or synthetic florals and things like that. And this has never happened. You know, I think maybe it was just a little too close to the thing, or
I think everyone was just all working a little too fast and didn't check the surroundings, but nobody got hurt.
Nobody got hurt. And yeah, so how we dealt with that was, it was a little smelly in the room. It smells a little burnt for a while, but we aired it out, thank God. So this is when the guests are cocktailing. So nobody is inside the room, which is very good. We chatted with the couple. They were kind of in the know of that, but we actually had an extra pompous arrangement at the bar. So it all worked out. We put that on the table. They're very chill. Nobody would have known that happened during the cocktail hour, but it was very traumatizing for all of us.
And I feel like it, from the person watching it, all happened so slow. And I was like, no, not again. Oh my God, not again. And I just didn't even know how to react because I was in such shock from the first
there
fire.
Was another fire. So our first fire experience happened at the same place. So that's why I was very traumatized.
2 weeks earlier.
2 weeks earlier, our clients had sparkler exit. We do these all the time. You know, we've done it where we hand out sparklers and we light them for everyone, or we've done it, you know, we light a few and we hand them out, kind of thing. We've done it both ways. So we're like, cool, another sparkler exit. Great. So everyone's outside. We're on the patio. We're lighting the sparklers. It was a windy evening, so I stepped inside to kind of, you know, get them lit. And they start to sparkle. So I'm like, okay, great. I start walking outside, and then it's like all of it's burning down to my hand. And for reference, I had 60 sparklers.
Don't try this at home. Here's our disclaimer.
I had 60 sparklers in my hand, and they all just lit on fire. Literally, it sparkled for half a second, and that's when I was like, okay, great. I'm walking outside.
I saw it start to sparkle, so I turned around to walk outside to help you hand it out, and then all of a sudden I turned back around, so it was not even half a second.
Yeah.
And they're all on fire.
So from there, I was trying to hold on to them. And then I just eventually had to throw them down because my hands were on fire, being burnt. So I threw them down, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And yeah, I ran because I was like, my hands are on fire. They are burnt. They feel really crispy. I need to get them in water. Basically, the couple took out their phones and they did a little phone, you know, sparkler exit. That was all fine. Nobody was hurt in that sense. So I book it, and they were like, we should call EMS. We should, you know, do something. So my hands are sitting in water. The firefighters show up, the EMS show up. They wrap me in these stuff that takes the sting out of the burns. And then the EMS came and they looked at my hands after the firefighter people bandaged them up. Well, not bandaged them up, they put the cold things on. And then they're like, you need to go to the hospital. And at this point, this was their last song, Sparkler Exit. So everyone's clearing out anyway. Oh my God. I can't believe we're telling this story. And yeah, they're like, you need to go to the hospital. You can risk infection and things like that. So Monica dropped me off. And I think I was in shock for so long that I was like, oh, I feel fine. I'm good.
It didn't hit you till we were in the car.
And I was like, they kind of they missed the spot on my wrist of with that cold stuff, and it was just stinging. Like it was a small spot on my wrist, but it was stinging so bad. And so they wrap my hands up in these like little mitten things, and I have like my pouch thing on. Monica drops me off because she's gonna go back and do tear down and like, you know,
And I can't go in
out.
anyways. Like that wasn't even
Can't
an
go
option.
in anyways. And so I get inside, and he was like, "You need to put a mask on." I'm like, "I can't put a mask. I can't put my own mask on." I'm like, you know, on the verge of crying. And he's like, "I'll help you." And I'm like, "Okay." And then I like get to the emergency, and then like, "We need to see Alberta Healthcare." And I'm like, "I can't put my hands. Can you?" So this guy's like taking out my phone and taking out my Alberta Healthcare, and anyway, I sat in that bed, and it just got worse and worse and worse and worse. And they gave me morphine and another morphine, and then they gave me a Tylenol because it was so bad. They took it off. They looked at it. They were like really white, because they were all just like singed, and the inside of my hand was all like black. Like it looked like I had put my hand on like a grill, essentially.
Like I asked you, I was like, "Why is your hand so dirty?" Because I just thought like you had like dirt on your hand. No, that was like the burn marks all down your palm.
Because all the metal, like it burnt down to the metal stick, and that was what I was holding on to. So it just looked like a barbecue. My hand was barbecued. And then I had a really bad blister on this thumb because I was holding it like this. For the people that are listening, you can't see this, but and then my right hand I thought was actually okay, but it was actually the worst hand because the whole back of it was singed. And yeah, they wrapped me up and were basically like, "You have to get this dressed every couple of days. You need to go and get it looked at because it could be infected. We don't know yet." And Monica had to pick me up, and it was the most pain I have ever been in my entire life.
Yeah.
And it was bad. So so I couldn't drive. Monica had to drive home. Monica did most of the tear down that night, and then we went back the next day, and I tried to help, which was not very helpful because my hands were wrapped and completely wrapped, and I had like my middle fingers sticking out. So
and we got back the next day, and people are like, "Oh, you're the burn girl. Oh, you're the fire girl."
Burn girl's back. It was really bad. Monica had to drive home. I had all these rentals that needed to be returned. I enlisted the help of one of our gals, my cousin, to come over and return all the rentals, take them out of my car, put them in her car. Like I could not lift anything. I couldn't drive couldn't drive my car. I had to shower with bags on my hands.
It was bad.
I had to get my hair blow dried because I couldn't wash my hair. And that just would have been a disaster if Lilia was trying to straighten and blow dry my hair. It was horrible. I had to go every 2 days to get them wrapped. I had these nasty blisters that were literally like jiggling off of my hand. Like they were just full. And they eventually like cut off the blisters of my hand, rewrapped them. That was probably the most pain after the burning, but it was 2nd-degree burns, which means no scarring, but apparently it's the most painful. So yeah, if you can see my hand now, it looks
much better. But she gets these blood blisters when she knocks her hands, or if they're too cold, her hands will go bright blue, bright purple. And I'm like, "Are your hands okay?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm just cold."
I'm just really cold, guys. So those are 2 crazy fire stories.
Not sure we'll ever be able to top them, and not sure we ever want to be able to top them. But
I don't know if we ever want to, but they are great stories to tell now. Nobody was hurt minus me, and it wasn't that long. I'm amazed at how quickly the body heals because this happened, in August, and my hand is like totally back to normal for the most part.
And you bounced back by the next wedding. You were there. You were good. Like you did have bandages a bit, and we were lucky that the setup for that one was, I think there was a decorating team, so it was minimal for us. But like the way it all worked out, we were very lucky.
Very extremely lucky, because if it was a wedding, I mean, obviously we have girls that we could lean on, but it's a little different when you're trying to be the lead and you can't do anything.
Yeah.
So those are 2
fun
stories. We had actually some other crazy things that happened as well. The third one was fire and water. most recently?
Yes. Same venue. Maybe we're cursed. Maybe it's 3 bad things have to happen at the same venue.
Maybe.
Not sure. We did the rehearsal day prior, and the rehearsal just coincidentally happened to be same space and same time that the actual wedding was going to happen the next day. So at the rehearsal, the sprinklers go off. And they're like, hey, can we make sure that the sprinklers don't go off tomorrow, like in the middle of the wedding? Like, we don't want a wet t-shirt contest here. No problem. So we talked to the venue in the morning. We're like, hey, the sprinklers. And they're like, no, they go off at 5:30 in the morning and like super late at night, like twice a day, very far apart, not a problem. So we're like, okay, great. And she's like, we'll call and confirm. Everything's good, not a problem. So the bride gets to the end of the aisle and the sprinklers go off.
Literally, the bride gets to the back top of the aisle and the sprinklers start going off. So the sprinklers, for reference, are like not where you're getting married, but it's behind where they're getting married. So literally, it's like the song, everything cued. It was actually very dramatic. It was like very beautifully dramatic. It was like she came to the top of the aisle and it was like, shoo. And so the wedding party is up there, and mind you, it doesn't get too far on the patio. I think the only person that got really soaked was the officiant.
Yeah.
Poor gal. But we had that happen, and then we were like, oh my God, we're running. And they had to phone the sprinkler people, and the sprinkler people came, and it did stop right before their vows. So.
Like the timing couldn't have been better, but it was just like, oh, great. Here we are.
Another thing. And the last thing that, oh my gosh, I don't even know how this came to be, but it was another wild thing. And I don't know if we're just bearing too much, but we just,
we are oversharers, so maybe.
We are oversharers. So, we did a wedding and we're like, okay, I did the rehearsal, everything's good. So usually what we do before the ceremony, we talk to the officiant, we talk to the DJ. We're like, okay, once we're all lined up, usually it's like the officiant is going to speak first because they have welcome notes, and then DJ goes with songs. So I tell the DJ, as soon as the officiant's done talking, you can go with the first song, we'll be ready. And we tell the officiant, once we're ready, we're going to give you the cue, and you can start the welcome notes, which will then cue music.
Because we could be outside trying to hide the bride from the groom or line everyone up. No one remembers their order. Like, we're kind of everywhere. That's why we can't just like start when everyone arrives.
Yeah. So we're like, hey, when we're ready, we'll give you the cue. And we're organizing everyone, the wedding party outside. We're getting the bride closer to, because they hadn't seen each other. So we're facing the groom this way. We're outside getting everyone organized, and the bouquets, and this bridesmaid's like, hey, can you put my purse inside? I'm like, sure, no problem. We're just about to get started. And I go into the venue, and the groom's already standing at the front of the aisle. And I was like, everyone's standing up and waiting for the wedding party to come. And I'm like, okay. So I fly to the back, and I'm like, go. I was like, this is your order. Jim, and this, and this, and this. And then they are going down the aisle, and I'm like,
and I'm running like across the parking lot to get the bride. I'm like, come on.
They hadn't seen each other. So the bride was just waiting in the limo, and we're like, once, we send the groom, then we'll come get you. So I'm not really sure what happened, but I think officiants just took it on themselves to get things started, and we weren't ready. But actually, it all worked out in the end. I think there was a little bit of a pause, but it was kind of nice because the groom had his own moments. And then we sent the wedding party, and then I feel like from an outsider's perspective, nobody really knew.
But we knew, and we were like, how long was he standing up there? What was happening? Was it awkward? Like, were people uncomfortable?
Apparently it was fine. So
that's what I think we both learned this year, is that we are like, oh my God, are people noticing this? But people really have no idea.
People have no idea what happens behind the scenes.
Nope.
Nobody knew that there was a flying fire arrangement that was, being flung across the room onto a patio 5 minutes before everyone entered the room.
Nope.
But here we are.
I think we really unbared it all.
We definitely gave you guys probably more than you were expecting. hopefully everyone still trusts us with their wedding. Obviously, all of these things were out of our control for the most part, and a lot of them happened just by fluke. So
Yep.
Here we are. We survived. We have a couple more weddings left for the rest of the year. We have some amazing episodes that are coming up. We have a whole slew of stuff that we're going to be recording for you guys for this year. We're really excited. We have some unique vendors, as well as you guys really wanted to see more of just Monica and I, and more like wedding information rather than, just interviewing vendors. So we're excited to drop is this our third season?
Season 3, baby.
Season 3 of the Wedding Planning Podcast. If you guys have any, recommendations for episodes that you guys want to hear, absolutely always shoot us a DM. We're always open to, giving you guys what you want, of course. Anything else, Monica?
No, I think you got it. We're going to do a lot more solo duo episodes this year, just kind of giving our candid opinions on different things and tips, tricks, lessons, sort of things. That's it. It was a great season. The season's not over. We're excited for the remaining weddings to come in 2023, and we're really happy to be back on the pod.
Stay tuned. Episodes every other Friday. And yeah, go back and listen to, our other 30 episodes that we have. So
there's some really good ones.
Really good ones, and lots more to come. Thank you guys for listening, and we will see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.